The attic was colder than she remembered. Dust floated in the sunlight like forgotten memories, undisturbed by time. Elara stood in the doorway, her breath shallow, a cardboard box balanced on her hip, and a sweater sliding off her shoulder. The old floorboards creaked beneath her boots as she stepped inside, ducking under a low beam. Cobwebs clung to her curls. She hated this attic. 12 years had passed since her father disappeared. Not died, disappeared. People in town said it was a boating accident, a freak storm. "He's gone, honey," they told her. "Let him go." But deep inside, Elara never believed the ocean swallowed him. It was too neat, too final. Her father had never been a man of straight lines or easy exits. She was here now, weeks after the lawyer called. The house was officially hers. Sell it, burn it, live in it. They didn't care. But the attic had waited. She ran her fingers across a dusty shelf, pausing when something caught her eye. A small metal tin, rusted and dented, hidden beneath an old tarp. She lifted it, revealing a cracked-screen smartphone tucked inside like a time capsule. Her father's phone. Elara blinked. The last time she saw this phone, she was 16. He'd taken a call on it that night, the night before the storm. Then it vanished, just like him. She turned it over in her hand. It was heavier than she expected. Dead, of course. She shoved it into her bag, curiosity blooming like a bruise, and continued sorting. That night she couldn't sleep. Rain tapped gently against her apartment windows. The city below hummed. She sat at the kitchen table, mug of untouched tea beside her, watching the phone charge slowly like some ancient relic coming back to life. The Apple logo pulsed. Finally it lit up. One notification. One unheard voice message. Dated May 13th, 12 years ago. The night he vanished. Her hand trembled as she tapped the screen. A long pause, then static. And then, his voice. "Elara, if you find this, you need to know the truth about why I left. There isn't much time." She froze. "I wanted to protect you. That's all I ever wanted. But now, if you're hearing this, something went wrong. Find Jonah. He'll tell you everything. He's in Seabright. Ask him about the cove. You remember it, don't you?" A shaky inhale. "There are things I can't explain here. But I never stopped loving you. Never. I hope you'll forgive me someday. Just follow the trail, and whatever you do, don't trust." The message cut off. Elara sat in stunned silence. Her chest rose and fell as if she'd run a marathon, heart pounding in her ears. She replayed it. Twice. 3 times. The words never changed. Jonah. Seabright. The cove. The cove. Yes. She remembered. She was 8. Her father had taken her there once. A hidden spot off the rocky coast near the edge of the cliffs, where the water glowed blue at night. He said the ocean whispered secrets if you listened long enough. She never knew what he meant, until now. The next morning, Elara called in sick. She threw a few things into a bag. Her camera, a journal, snacks, the phone. Seabright was 2 hours up the coast, a town so small it barely registered on maps. She hadn't been there since childhood. Her father used to dock his boat there before business trips, vague, always unspoken. As a kid, she thought he was a fisherman. As a teen, she stopped asking. The road was empty, lined with fir trees swaying under gray skies. The air smelled like salt and wood smoke. Elara drove with the windows down, the voice message playing in her head on a loop. She couldn't shake the tone in his voice. Not fear exactly, but urgency, regret, love. At the town's entrance, a crooked sign read, "Welcome to Seabright, where the sea never sleeps." The harbor came into view first. Rusted boats, wooden piers, gulls circling in slow spirals. Fishing nets hung like ghosts along the fences. There were fewer houses than she remembered. Some boarded up, some gone entirely. A single diner, one gas station, and a weather-beaten motel that looked like it hadn't changed since the 80s. She parked and stepped out. A man smoked outside the diner, wearing a yellow rain jacket and a trucker hat. He watched her like an out-of-place stranger, which of course she was. She approached. "Excuse me," she said. "Do you know someone named Jonah?" He squinted at her, lips pursed. "Jonah who?" "I, don't know his last name. He used to fish with a man named Thomas Reed, my father. The name landed like a stone in water. The man's posture changed. Not quite fear, not quite surprise. He flicked his cigarette. Jonah don't talk to folks much, he muttered. But you'll find him at the end of Lantern Street. Blue shack with a wind chime. You'll hear it. Elara nodded. Thank you, he called out as she turned. If you're smart, you'll leave Seabright before dark. She didn't answer. Lantern Street was less a street and more a gravel path disappearing into the mist. The ocean was close here. Elara could hear it breathing, waves against rocks, a sound that felt ancient. She walked with her hands in her jacket pockets, the air sharp and wet, the scent of kelp and salt clinging to her skin. At the far end of the path, the blue shack stood like a forgotten postcard. It leaned slightly as if tired of holding itself up, and the windows were fogged over. But it was there, just like the man at the diner had said, and hanging from the porch beam, swaying gently in the breeze, was a wind chime made of seashells and driftwood. She stepped closer. The chime rang, a haunting, hollow sound like voices underwater. She knocked. Nothing. She knocked again, louder. Footsteps inside, then silence. Then the door creaked open. The man who stood before her was in his 60s, maybe older, weathered like the boat hulls in the harbor. A deep scar curved from his left ear to his jaw. One eye was cloudy, the other sharp and cautious. Elara Reed, he said flatly. She blinked. How did you... Come in. He stepped aside. Inside, the shack smelled like cedar and tobacco. A small fireplace crackled in the corner. Fishing gear hung from the rafters, and maps were pinned to the walls. Nautical charts, some hand-drawn. Elara's eyes landed on a photograph above the mantel. Her father, younger, laughing, standing beside this very man. You were expecting me, she said. No, Jonah replied, limping toward a chair. But I knew someday someone might come asking, and if it was anyone, it'd be you. Elara stayed standing. He left me a message. He said to find you. Said you'd tell me everything. Jonah stared into the fire for a long moment, as if considering whether to light a fuse. I suppose I owe him that much, he said. Sit down. She did. What do you know about your father's work? He asked. I thought he was a fisherman. Then, I thought maybe he was running from something. He wasn't running, Jonah said. He was fighting. Elara's brow furrowed. Fighting what? Jonah exhaled slowly. People who wanted to stay invisible. Men with money and secrets. Your father. He got involved in something years ago. Something bigger than either of us expected. It started simple. Smuggling a few desperate souls out of dangerous waters. Refugees. Survivors. People no country wanted to claim. Elara's heartbeat quickened. He never told me any of this. He didn't want you near it. That's why he disappeared. What happened? Jonah leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. They caught on. The people we were crossing, cartels, traffickers, corrupt officials, they don't like leaks. One night, your father got wind that they'd marked him. Said goodbye to me. Took a small skiff out alone. Let them think he drowned, but he didn't. Elara's voice dropped. Where did he go? Somewhere only he knew. He said he'd stay gone until the people hunting him stopped looking. Jonah reached under his chair and pulled out a small tin box. He placed it in her hands. He left this for you. Elara opened it slowly. Inside were a folded slip of paper and a key. Small, brass, worn. She unfolded the paper. Coordinates. A set of numbers written in her father's precise, slanted handwriting. What is this? Your next step, Jonah said. The cove. Her breath caught. He said you'd remember it, Jonah continued. You and he used to go there. Just once. You were a kid, but he carved something into the rocks. A hiding place. Elara looked down at the key. Jonah's tone turned serious. But listen to me carefully. If you go there, you might find answers. But you also might wake up old ghosts. People haven't forgotten your father, Elara, and they sure as hell haven't forgiven him. I need to know, she whispered. I have to. Jonah nodded slowly. Then take the trail before first light. Low tides at dawn. That's the only time you can reach the ledge. Elara stood. He followed her to the door. You got your father's fire, he said. But be smart. Fire attracts things in the dark. She met his gaze. So does silence. The trail to the cove was hidden by overgrowth. Elara parked her car at a pull-off near the cliffs and walked the rest on foot, flashlight in hand. The beam cut through dense fog and fern-covered rocks. The trees thinned as she neared the coast. And then she saw it. The cove, exactly as she remembered. Black rocks curved inward like an amphitheater. The water shimmered pale blue under the moonlight. The waves were calm, like they were holding their breath. She climbed carefully down the slope, using both hands. The tide was low. She found the ledge Jonah described, a narrow outcrop that jutted out above a shallow pool. There it was, a smooth rock carved with her initials, E.R., and beside it, a hollowed section sealed with a rusted latch. She used the key. It clicked. The compartment opened with a groan. Inside, a leather journal wrapped in plastic, a flash drive, a sealed envelope addressed to Elara, and an old tape recorder with a note, "Play me last." Her hands trembled as she pulled the items free and tucked them into her backpack. She sat on the ledge, breathing hard. The moon slipped behind a cloud. Something rustled in the brush above. Elara spun around, flashlight up. Nothing. Just trees. Just wind. But she felt it. A presence. She wasn't alone. The air thickened. Elara's flashlight flickered as if something unseen had passed in front of it. She held her breath, waiting, listening, rustling again, this time behind her. She turned sharply, light sweeping across the slope. Still, nothing. No footsteps. No voices. But her skin bristled. She wasn't imagining it. Something, or someone, was watching. She backed up, gripping her bag tighter, and forced herself to breathe. "Just wind," she whispered. "Just nerves." But the ocean didn't lie. It murmured differently now, like a warning carried in salt. She climbed back up the trail as quickly as she could without slipping. Each branch cracking underfoot made her flinch. But no one followed. When she reached the car, she slammed the door, locked it, and didn't look back. Only when she was back on the main road, sea bright fading behind her in the rearview mirror, did her pulse begin to slow. Back in her apartment, she laid everything out on the kitchen table. The flash drive, the journal, the envelope, the tape recorder. She started with the envelope. Inside was a letter, her father's handwriting, rough but steady, dated just 2 days before he disappeared. "My Elara, if you are reading this, I am either gone or living so far off grid the world has forgotten me. Either way, the truth belongs to you now. I was not the man you thought I was. I worked for an organization that once had noble goals, to protect people from dangerous systems. But we fell. We started making choices, cutting deals. It became about profit, not people. When I tried to walk away, they came for me. I faked my death to protect you. I never stopped watching. On birthdays, graduation. I saw you. You grew stronger than I ever imagined. I'm sorry for everything I missed. But maybe, just maybe, this story can still help someone. If you choose to tell it, be ready. Some doors never close again. But I leave that choice to you. As always, I trust you more than I ever trusted myself. Love always, Dad." Elara sat for a long time after reading it, silent, staring at the words. Tears welled and broke quietly down her cheeks. A storm of memories surged in her mind. The bedtime stories, the smell of his jacket, the times he left without a word. The love was real. So was the damage. Then she opened the journal, page after page carefully kept. Names, dates, locations, smuggling routes, testimonies, photos, handwritten accounts from people her father had helped, women escaping traffickers, children separated from their families, men who would have been killed for what they knew. He hadn't just vanished. He'd saved lives. The flash drive contained even more. Encrypted files, scanned documents, video interviews, evidence. All of it detailed and dangerous. It was a story. But more than that, It was a responsibility. Finally, she reached for the recorder. She pressed play. "Hi, Elara." Her father's voice filled the room, clearer than the voicemail, closer, warmer. "I wanted you to hear this not as an apology, but as the truth. Everything I did so you could live free from it. I see now that was never my choice to make. If you're holding this, then I believe you're strong enough. I believe you'll know what to do. I left a trail, but I trust your compass more than I trust any map. The world needs people who remember what matters. Not silence, not safety, but truth and love. If you choose to step into this, I can't protect you. But maybe I never needed to. I love you, El, more than the sea loves the moon. And if you ever feel alone, go to the cove, sit, listen to the waves. That's me, still with you." Click. Silence. Elara pressed the recorder to her chest and wept. 2 weeks later, she sat in a small recording studio, microphone in front of her, headphones on. A red light blinked gently. She took a breath. "My name is Elara Reed. What you're about to hear is the story of my father, Thomas Reed, a man the world believed drowned 12 years ago. What he left behind changed everything I thought I knew about him and about the world we live in. This is our story, and if you're listening, that means you're ready to hear the truth." She hit record. Back at the cove, a figure watches the horizon. It's dusk. A small radio crackles beside him, tuned to a faint signal. Elara's voice begins to play, distant but clear. "This is our story." The figure, bearded, older, eyes full of pride and sorrow, smiles faintly and closes his eyes.